This place is such a mess. I don't see how anybody can be expected to live it. Oh, hi, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mask Fan Attic once again, where if you're a fanatic or just a casual fan of monster masks, if you're a Halloween enthusiast or just a horror fan or just one of those emotionally or psychologically interesting individuals, anyone like that, this is for you. We come up here every so often to the Mask Fan Attic above Horror Hotel in beautiful Chatfield, Ohio, to look for interesting old Halloween masks. And gosh, as luck would have it, I see one right over there right now to tell you all about. Now, you remember the movie Van Helsing? Came out back in the year 2000. Basically, they tried to rewrite the character of Van Helsing from Dracula as sort of an old world James Bondian hero, and well, I was not a big fan of Van Helsing personally, but it did have some nice special effects and some good things in it, despite being not a very good movie overall. But back when everybody believed the movie was not going to be a failure, Ruby's Costume Company did some masks based on the monsters in the movie Van Helsing. And here's one of them. This would be the Ruby's, if I can reach it here, the Ruby's Van Helsing Frankenstein. And no, I wasn't really a big fan of their re-envisioning of the Frankenstein monster as this kind of quasi-steampunk cyborg zombie thing. But it was kind of neat looking. It would have been better if they would have called it by a different name, you know. The fact that it was supposed to be the original Frankenstein monster was kind of what spoiled it for a lot of horror fans. But anyway, the Frankenstein from that movie looked like this and had a high-pitched voice and wasn't really scary, but, and here's the big but, one thing that made him interesting and makes the mask interesting is that the monster in the movie had these patches where the flesh was gone and there was green glass installed. There was one over his heart, there was a chunk of his chest missing, and inside there, behind the green glass, was what they called a fusion chamber. And basically, through the miracle of animation and computer special effects and so forth, digital imaging technology, you could see under the green glass electricity arcing and sparking and zapping around wherever he had one of these green glass panels under his skin that was called the fusion chamber. And one of them was in the top of his head. Now, I thought it was cool that instead of just sculpting one piece and painting it green, I thought Ruby's kind of went the extra mile with this guy. I don't know if you can see this on the video, I hope so, but what they did for the mask is cut the top of the head out and cut these places out and install a piece of glued in vacuum formed translucent emerald green plastic, basically a square sort of bubble shaped just like he had in the movie, and then glued that into the mask. I think that's cool. It's kind of a mask with a built-in special effect. Now, as for the other regards of the masks, the paint, not that exciting. They basically had their painters take an airbrush and just scribble and doodle all over it and make black squiggles to make it look like blotchy corpse skin, but it looked more like squiggles and doodles on a lot of them. So when I got these masks in, I liked to take a little bit of black and a little bit of like a rosy pinkish red and just sort of define a few of the main important aspects of the sculpture that way. Not completely repainting, just a little bit, like I said, define things just where it needed. A little extra touch up, a little extra TLC right here. Tender latex care, you know, sure. To define things just a little bit better, give things a little bit more clarity. And rubber, pretty good quality. Paint, other than the scribbliness, you know, serviceable. Because this mask sold for like 40 bucks. I think I've seen it anywhere from 30 to 60, but 40 to 45 was pretty much the manufacturer's suggested retail price. And the cool thing about the plastic bubble in the head, I'm going to tell you in a minute. But first, one caveat about this thing. The nice thing about the plastic bubble is that it holds the mask in shape when it's in there and makes sure he has a nice flat Frankenstein style top of the head, and it looks cool because it looks like the green glass like in the movie. The downside of having a plastic bubble glued into there is that, you know, Ruby's costume company is famously cheapskate. I don't think cheapskating is a verb, is it? I don't think we can say that. Famously, they are cheap. Let's just say that. We'll fix it in editing. They're famously cheap when it comes to what? That's right, shipping. The people at Ruby's will squeeze 24 masks into an envelope. And you may laugh, but right now, even as you're watching this, somebody at Ruby's is trying to devise a way to stuff masks into a postcard to ship them that much more cheaply. But the bad thing with the plastic bubble in the Van Helsing Frankie was that they tended to ship them like this. They would smush the mask down into the bubble, and then you see this way you could stack these up like a restaurant stacks up disposable cups or bowls for shipping. Now, if you buy one of these masks, you may want to ask, if you're buying it online and it's sight unseen and you can't actually hold it in your hands first, you may want to ask the seller to take a look at the rubber and make sure it's still in good shape. Because if it was stored for several years with the face all squished up into the dome like that, there's a good chance that by the time you get it, it's going to look more or less like a big wad of ABC gum with electrodes. And you don't want that. So ask them to check and make sure it's not all melted and deteriorated and cracked from being stored that way. As you can see, the ones that were not stored that way look just fine and will continue to look fine. And here's the great part, is there's a fun thing you can do with this mask to make it an even better display for your haunted attraction or your monster museum, or just for your collection, or just for something to do. Better than watching videos with me in them, certainly, is you can recreate that electrical zapping, sparking energy effect. And I'm going to pull one up here and show you what I did. All of a sudden I'm doing a cooking show. This is like a cooking show where they bring up the end result, and they had one to save time. They had one already made up that they show you. Never mind. Can we fix that in editing too? No, we can't, apparently. Okay. I have taken one of these masks, and I don't know how good this will show up. I'm going to try. Can you see that? Right there is that wonderful zapping electrical effect. And this looked great when we used him at Horror Hotel. I made sure to have him low enough in the scene with his head tipped down that the average audience member could see the top of his head and see the electricity moving around in there. And well, obviously if he's on a mannequin that's 7 feet tall, most people aren't going to be able to get that effect. But people reacted like they were so blown away they thought they were at Disneyland when they saw this effect. And it was very simple and cheap, inexpensive, cheap as me, in fact. And here's what you do. Take your Van Helsing, Ruby's Van Helsing Frankenstein mask, and if I can do this without tearing up my effect, what I've done here is very simple. I just took, there's a block of wood to stand it on, and that's cemented to a length of 4-inch PVC pipe from the local hardware store, which cost about $1, literally. And as you can see, I've cut 2 little square notches there to accommodate the feet of this, which is a lumen glass disc. You can get at Spencer Gifts. You can get them from other novelty dealers. You can get them on online. Get them on eBay pretty commonly. You want to get the 6-inch size. There are smaller ones that like go on your belt buckle, and then there are bigger ones. The 6-inch size, the in-between size here, is just about perfect for in the head. And as you can see, I got a white one, even though the electricity is green. Don't get the green one because the bubble is green. Bubble heads, see? You don't need, it'll just be dimmer. White will give you brighter glowing electricity when you put the green plastic over it. But as you can see, it just sits there, and then there's just a piece of tape, and then I've got that plugged into an extension cord over there, and you can leave that on all night, and it just looks way, way cool. And you may notice this one has something in the eyes. It's nothing great. I just took some plastic eyes that you're supposed to stick in a jack-o'-lantern and stuck them inside the mask, and I thought, it looks kind of creepy. So I've just got some tape in there holding it on. holding them on, I should say, inside the mask, and then you just slip the mask onto your PVC pipe with your wooden block on the bottom and your lumen glass 6-inch white crackle disc on the top, and you have this amazing special effect. It's like a mask with a built-in special effect show going on to amaze and amuse the visitors to your haunted house or hayride or museum or collection, or in my case, attic. So I recommend the Ruby's Van Helsing, and I recommend you build one of these constructs to put in there to get this cool flickering electrical effect going on. And that's all I have to say about that. So we'll see you again here next time in the Mask Fan Attic, when we'll have more spooky things to shock you with. Thank you.